record. We are recording. Welcome to What If It's Not About the Pivot? Now is the time to raise up your genius for impact. I'm a big believer in this right now, and we're going to get into really jumping into what are these gifts of who you are? How are they meant to matter in this really extraordinary time that we're in right now? There is so much shifts and change and so much happening in our world. And now is not a time to be quiet and go hide. Now is not a time to sit back. And I want you guys to be thinking throughout this. I mean, if we're in this very pivotal place in our earth, right? So there is a pivotal place thing happening with our earth, with what's happening in our world. And do we want to be part of that history that's driving the change? Do we want to be back in the shadows of this? How do you want to look back at this time 5, 10 years, 15 years from now? What do you want to tell your children about this time? So I am excited that so many of you are joining us today to really start thinking about what your role is, what your genius is, and how you can really reach out to your communities with your gifts of you. So what if it's not about the pivot, right? What if it, and we're hearing this all over the place. And granted, there are some businesses that are having to pivot. I mean, restaurants have had to pivot. They've had to open up delivery services. They've had to open up the, takeout services, all these different ways of showing up in different, in different ways for their communities. They have no doubt had to pivot. Retail stores are having to pivot. Most of you are going to be in that service realm. Most of you are in the consultants, you are coaches, and you've been hearing this, what if it's about, how are you pivoting? And what my invitation to you is actually to really step into this center instead, the center of who you are, the center of this gift of who you are that you've been, building your whole life to this point in your life, to be able to share your gifts. And, that's one of the things I'm really passionate about, is that we were each put on this earth with a purpose, and that we have been going through the life experiences and the learnings and getting to this place in this time. And it's like we were designed for this time, right? We've been moving, having all these life experiences, and suddenly we've got this opportunity to show up in the gifts of who we are. And that, my friends, is one of the most important things I want you to take away from today, is to really be thinking about what's your role in this time. So what if it's not about the pivot? What if it's about you standing more brightly, more firmly in the gifts of who you are, and really starting to let your light shine to serve the people in your community? That's where we're going to go take this. So to start with, we're going to look at defining the future you want to see. We're going to go deep into really thinking about how you want to own your genius. How do you speak your client's love language, especially in this time? Understanding, and that means listening, right? I mean, I've been hearing a lot about listening in the last few days, and I've been doing a lot of listening. And so this means that when we're learning to speak our client's love language, we really learn to listen. And we're going to get into the thought of, if the whole world could hear one message from you, what would it be? Because if you don't have clarity around that, what happens is your message gets fuzzy, it gets lost, and people don't hear you. But if you have clarity around what that one message is, that's how you can really step up into the gifts of who you are and make an impact with it. We are going to look at how, once you have that clarity around how you serve, who you serve, and what's that message that you're taking out into the world, it's like, how do you get that message out into the world? And that means being really intuitive right now. I can give you an example. Some of the things this week, a lot of people have been saying, okay, pull back on having the block time, stop our messages. And I really sat with that for a little bit. And for me, when I was sitting in do I pause in my messages, I thought, now is the most important time for my message, because people's voices need to be heard. Whatever your message is, it needs to be heard. And so now is not a time for me to step back and be quiet in it. Now is a time for me to serve. And so, but to do it in a way that is appropriate for these times. And I think that's really important, is really paying attention to your intuition, listening to your intuition, and then showing up in ways that resonates for you. And then the last thing we're going to look at is R factor, because how you resonate matters. Some of you will know R factor. I talk about R factor a lot. It's really about how we resonate, because that's right now taking care of how we resonate in these crazy times, how we energetically are showing up. That's a really important thing. So we'll talk about R factor as the last thing that we'll dig into today. So let's get going. The future I see is I see this future for us. I mean, yes, our world is in this place where things are shifting and changing. And guess what? I believe they're shifting and changing for the better. We are going to come out of the other side of all of this for the better. But it doesn't mean it's easy going through what we're going through right now. You know, we started with COVID, we are starting, and then we've been in all the racial tensions. Our world is in a lot of unrest right now, and really starting to come through to the other side, driving the change that needs to happen. So our world needs us right now as change makers to show up in our voice, in our gifts of who we are. We need to be thinking about doing things a different way of being, right? A different way of being really is about how we show up in the world. And that's not about in the masculine push. It's not about in the my way, my message is the only message. It's much more open. It's much more flowing. It is much more listening to that inner wisdom. And then a different way of doing is very much about letting the universe get in behind us. Because when you're on purpose in your message and what you're doing for the world, how you're making a difference, guess what? The universe gets in behind you and helps you. The right people start showing up into your life. The right people start, the right opportunities start opening up. You start to see a lot of magic happen when we get into this different way of being and doing. So starting to really listen to that inner wisdom that we have. And that's what I really want you to start tapping into today. Is I'm going to give you space to listen to your inner wisdom. So there's going to be places and times where you can tune in, you can listen, and I will be using the chat box to get some feedback from you guys as you work through some of the different exercises that I take you on. But this is really a journey for you to find this way that you want to be showing up for our world to make an impact right now. And I believe that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs. Okay, so I want you to tune that in. You've got wisdom inside of you right now. You know, it's going to guide you. It's going to direct you. And our earth needs that medicine that you have right now. So really start to be paying attention and honoring whatever comes up for you today in these exercises that we do as we stop and we pause and we think about who you are in that bright light and how you're meant to make a difference and how you can serve your communities. So this is the earth this is the wisdom that our medicine, this is the medicine, I can't get that out right now. This is the medicine that our earth needs right now, your wisdom. So what is the future that you see? I want you to take out a pen, and if you haven't pulled out a pen, you're really going to need a pen for today. You're going to need a nice pen and paper if you have your journal nearby. And I'm going to give you just a minute to pause in what is the future you see? You know, we're in this tension. We're going to come out on the other side of this. What is the future you see? So take out your pen and just journal on that for a moment. And I'll pause. And there's a chat box. If you find the chat box, there's also a Q&A, but let's use the chat box. Let's use that as an opportunity for you to share what is the future you see. So go ahead and start to drop in a few that you're, what came up for you, what ideas, or what's unfolding in front of us. It's going to be better. Let's start to tune into that. So if you guys will start to drop that into the chat box, that will be great. I'll keep an eye out for it. And the next part of this question is, what is your role in this future, right? Each one of you have a role in this future and how you're meant to show up and how you're meant to really make a difference in the world. You were born with these gifts of who you are. How are you going to be making a difference? So feel free to jot that into the chat box, jot it into your journal. And I'm going to do a shout out to a few new listeners that I haven't said hello to. I see Alyssa and Amy, and who else? Diane and Dana and Jamie and Janet, Lisa and Patricia and Ruth. So welcome to everyone. If I've missed saying hello to you, I'm sorry about that. I'm thrilled to have you all in. Hi Ruth, love you too, my friend. And I know you're calling, you're joining us from Asheville, North Carolina. Carol O'Dwyer says, for us to really understand that we're all in this together and we can create a world that works for everyone. Yes. Jamie, her role is to start difficult conversations and inspire growth in women, right? So we start to own these, right? And so that's the same reason why when I was thinking about, do I postpone this event this week, or do I go ahead and move forward with it? And what it told me is there are people right now ready to step out into this world and make a difference. And that's what we're going to really be tuning into. And if I was to push this off, we just push those important conversations out. So Jamie, I love that that's part of your role as well, because I think these really difficult and crucial conversations are so important right now. So learning to have these crucial conversations are beautiful. So what is your role in this future? And just really find that clarity around that. If you can start thinking about, okay, how's the world shifting and what's my role in it? This is where you can really start to open this up. So Patricia says, as a branding and marketing specialist, I need to help my clients show empathy and assist their clients during this difficult time, right? So as a branding and marketing person, it means not doing, and we're going to talk about this. So I'm glad you're here, Patricia, because I think this is so important. It means doing marketing in a different way. It means not doing it in the kind of the old masculine ways. It actually means opening up and being in community with our people. Carol's role is to create a container and convene others for growth, support, and mutual benefit. Gosh, does our world need that right now? Yes, it does. So these are the sorts of things that I'm so glad you guys are on this call. We're going to dig into this, and we're going to really start to raise up your genius right now, right? Because change makers need to raise up your presence. This is not a time for you to go hide and be in the shadows. Now is this time for you to step into this. So I want you to think about, you can put your hand on your heart even, right? And you can close your eyes and you can feel into the statement of, I am. And this doesn't mean your roles. It doesn't mean that you're the mom, you're the coach, you're the consultant, it doesn't mean that. It means, who are you at your very essence, at your very core? What's this light in you? What's the fire in you? So jot down, well, first of all, just feel into that question. And when you feel ready, I want you to just write down the words I am at the top of your page, and just start to write the words that come up for you. So here's the space for you to start to connect into this genius of you. I am. And if you want to share in the chat box, that would be great. And on all of these questions, I can only give you a little amount of time to explore these questions today, to tune into these questions. And what I would invite you to do is even this afternoon to take this outside, get outside in the beautiful day or wherever you happen to be, and go deeper with these questions, right? Because you could spend 10 minutes journaling on I am, and you can start seeing some clarity on some visions of who you are at your very core. And the reason it's so important is because we fall in love with souls and not faces. We fall in love with the essence of who someone is. We fall in love with this light inside, this inner light. And when you tap into this inner light of who you are, you can really start to express that in different ways. Lisa Sharp, and I love this, and I've heard you say this before, and I love this so much. I am a lover of beauty and all kinds of people. So you start to feel this energy of Lisa. Lisa is drawn to beauty. She's a stylist, and she knows how to bring beauty out in people. So she's drawn to beauty. So this is such a powerful way for each of us to really start to own this gift of who we are. So these are 3 questions. I want you to jot them down. They're important questions. Who are you at your essence? What light in you wants to shine unto the world? And what is it you want to be known for? These are questions. You've started to get into this, who are you at your very essence, with just asking yourself the question, or just making the statement, I am. And as you start to make that statement, you start to get into this essence of who you are. And when you start to think about what's that light, what's that fire that wants to be shining, you want to be shining out into the world, there's power in that. There's energy in that. It's how you resonate. And we're going to be talking about how you resonate further on in our time together today. And what is it you want to be known for? And this is another question that we're going to really dig into more deeply, because I think it's really important. How do we get that message out that we want to be known for? So have these, either take a picture of this or jot these 3 questions down so you can come back to them and play with them some more. And I'll give you just another 30 seconds on that to, make sure you capture them. And I'll share with you one of mine. So I'm a passionate and wild soul. This is the essence of me. I'm a passionate and wild soul with a thread of quiet wisdom running through. I love to dance in the energy of nature, people, and the mysteries of life in great joy and happiness. There's a lot of words in there that really, resonate for me. I love the wild soul. I love the passion. I love the word dance, right? I mean, because the energy of dance is powerful. Nature lights me up. Mysteries of life light me up. I think those of you who know me, I love to play in joy and happiness. I am a pretty joyful person. So these are words that really are my words. So think through what's the essence of who you are. And I can tell you that as I developed my purpose statement, which I'm not going to read all the way through, but I can tell you that this purpose statement drives me on a daily basis. It drove me when I was wanting to, early in my business, when I was very afraid of getting on stages, but I knew that I wanted to touch a lot of people's lives, a lot of women's lives, and help them, 1 million women's lives, in fact. And when I started thinking about that, I thought, I need to get on stages. I had to get over my fear of that. It drove me to stretch. It drove me to start stepping into places that was uncomfortable for me. And there's such great power in being able to step into places that's uncomfortable, that's that growth place, right? I love to get on stages today. But at that time, it was one of those things. And even this week, as I was thinking about, is this a go or a no-go on doing this? When I stopped and thought about my purpose and showing up and helping millions of women step up into the work that they're meant to be doing to make an impact in the others, to help that ripple effect in our world, the answer to me was an easy yes. It's time to help each of you step out and do the ripple effect of the people you're meant to be doing. So this is something that I come back to. So you start with your essence, you move into your purpose, this purpose of this clarity of how do you want to make a difference with your gifts. And then these mantras that I have, it gets me it gets me again expanding. It helps me, the determination thrives, the courage to live larger, to play in soulful, inspired words and thoughts. So this is all the sorts of things that I always bring into every time I'm working with my clients. I'm looking for ways to bring these in. So a powerful way. So if you can find this clarity for yourself, this is how you really keep that compass going for you. It's like, this is my North Star. I know this is where I'm going, and it helps guide you on a regular basis. So you take the strengths of who you are, this genius of who you are, the essence of you, and you really start to build it into the essence of your brand, the essence of how you show up and serve your people, how people experience you. So how do you want people to feel when they experience the gifts of you, right? How do people feel when they are experiencing you in a room, and on a Zoom call these days, on a Facebook Live, all these different ways that you can connect, and we'll go into more of that later. But how do you want people to feel when they're experiencing you? And what is that energy of you, right? What's the energy that emanates from you? How do you resonate? And how are your clients' lives going to be better after they have experienced your genius? Right? So this is what you're starting to think about. So pick any one of those questions. And again, pause for a moment and capture these 3 questions either with your phone or with, jot them down so you can come back to these. But the one that I'd really like you to put some focus on right now is how are your clients' lives going to be better after they experienced your gifts of you? So you can take a client right now that you've already worked with, and you can think about, okay, I helped them move through something, right? I can think of a client this morning that the first email I saw this morning was from a client who has a new client this morning, who got a new client overnight. And that makes me feel so good, right? It's like, because we talk through the ways to maneuver through that. She landed it. And that person is going to get an experience of her gifts. And again, there's that ripple effect, right? So how are your clients' lives better after they have experienced you? Play with that question a moment. And this is an important question as we get into this, how do I show up right now in marketing in these times, right? Because I can promise you, your gifts are making somebody's life better. And if you are holding back your gifts because you're like, gosh, do I move in this time? Do I not move in this time? You're not really serving your clients. You're not really serving your community. So this is, I want you to really start to own this. How are your clients' lives better after they've experienced your genius? Know this, feel this. I want you to just pause for a moment and think about the people in your tribe, all the people. So the clients that you've worked with, the people in your community. And you can pick out a couple of your favorites. You might even jot down their names. And so just really start to tune into who are the people that you serve. And we're going to get into how do you start to speak their love language. But I really want you to envision this person. Write their name down. If you have a couple of them, that's okay. Write their name down. See their face. Envision them. And I want you to start to think about, what are the conversations they are having right now? I mean, this is crazy times, no doubt, right? What are the conversations that they're having right now? And this is a big question. If you can get into, and it might it might just take you picking up the phone and calling them. I can tell you, I did this a few weeks ago when I was really starting to gauge. So I wanted to get some feedback from some of the people who attended Ignite last year, my 3-day event. And I just want to hear where they are and what are they thinking about November, and would they like a live event? Would they like a virtual event? And I wanted to have those conversations with them. And I also wanted to know just how they're doing, right? So I picked up the phone and started having conversations with people who were in my community and just said, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? And by the way, I'm starting to think about this event in the fall. What do you think about it? And I just was open and I was curious. And so you can use the telephone. I mean, what a simple thing, right? Is pick up the phone and call. And this is a good way that you can really start to do that. You can start to, post things in your Facebook groups. You can, just be curious about where people are at this point and start to ask those questions. It will give you so much information, and it will and as you start to do that, you can say, okay, how do I serve them in this time, right? How do I show up for them? So this is how you learn to speak your client's love language, is you have conversations with them. You can get as formal as you want. You can do, big long surveys. You can pick up the phone. You can, do Zoom calls. There's all these different ways that you can really start to reach out and to learn to speak your client's love language. And many of you have seen this. I know this. And this is my tool that I use with my clients to help them really develop this way of speaking your client's love language. And there's a couple things that's really important about this. And right now, I think this space right here is interesting because some people are, and I think I've been one of them. It's been, I don't know about you guys. Have you had some sleepless nights over the last couple of months? I certainly have. And it's like, we're feeling the energies of our earth. We are feeling the shifts, all the things that are happening in our world. So there are things keeping us awake at night. And there are worries, there are emotions associated with that. And typically I don't build marketing messages on these components over here. However, and I'll get into that in just a moment and why, but we have to understand it. We have to understand what's really top of mind for our tribe, for our people in our community. And how do you help them through that, right? How do you really help them through that? When I am helping my clients develop their messaging and how they show up for their clients, we go through this exercise, and you can, like I said, you can do this with surveys, you can do this with just picking up the phone, all these different ways. And you can just start to people, start to click these off. What are people telling you is they're most worried about? How are they feeling right now? And then this is the golden for you. This is what it is that they aspire to. What do they desire? What do they want to be different? So if you can really start to get into this space, this is the space that you tune into. How do you speak your client's love language? And this is where you build your marketing messaging. This is how you build, like when I'm helping my clients build their even their elevator speech, right? There's so many people that will focus their elevator speech all over here. And it's just it's such ugly energy to focus it all there. You have to understand it. You want to focus your messaging from this place, because there's a higher vibration to what they're desiring. Whenever I have done something for my business, I have done it because it's what I aspire to. It's not because I am fearful of something. It's because what I aspire to. So this is really important as you start to work through thinking about how you serve your clients right now. This is a snapshot that you can look at, and you can use this tool, and it will evolve, right? Your clients we're going to come through the other side of this, and there's going to be new things that your clients are worried about. But right now, there's things I can promise you that you can help them with, and that they're aspiring to, and that your gifts can help them get there. So always come back to this format, take a snapshot of this, and use this as a way that you can start to speak your client's love language so that they are feeling they're being uplifted by your message. They are seeing new possibilities based on your message. And that's what attracts people into your world. So, excuse me, let me get a drink real quick. I'll go back here so you can take those down one more time. Thank you. So, what's the true benefit of your client journeying with you? And when you know, you can go through all of these different pieces, but at the end of the day, you're going to want to get really clear. So you'll be able to go, you might have 10 or 15 things here. You might have 10 or 15 things here, and you might have 10 or 15 things here. But I want you to, after you've done this, go to one deeper question. What's the true benefit of your client journeying with you? And get to the heart of it, right? Get to the heart of why they really want to be, you know, and especially right now, right? What's the gift of you that really helps them step into this right now? So there's great power in that. And the tip that I want to toss in here as a final just emphasis is to speak your client's love language. Use aspirational marketing. Don't focus on the pain points. I know I have seen a huge influx of pain focused, scarcity focused messaging out on the interwebs. It's like, you know, it's really prevalent that's out there. I often track when I see I have a whole folder of negative marketing that I have seen out there, and don't go there, right? Help your clients see what's possible. Help them see what's out there that can be different, how you can lead them to different places. But don't fall into the pain focused. There's so many formulas that will take you in the pain focused approaches to marketing, and don't bite. Don't go that route. You will build a much more high vibrational brand if you don't go there, if you focus on what your clients are desiring. So I want to dig into this next part of if the whole world could hear one message from you, right? So this is, as you start to get clarity around this true benefit that the clients have of journeying with you, you can start to step into, okay, what's my true message, right? What is it that message that if the whole world could hear one message from me, what would it be? So I want you to just jot down a few things. I'm going to give you just a minute to jot down. Well, hold on. This is the questions we're going to come back to. Let me give you some examples before we go there. So the questions I want you to be thinking about is, what is it that you want to stand for? If you have one thing to say to the world, what would it be? So I'm planting these seeds for you to start really tuning into. And I'm going to give you some examples here, right? Brene Brown. Who doesn't love Brene Brown? You can choose courage or you can choose comfort. You cannot have both. We know that Brene Brown stands for courage, right? So this is a perfect example of a really short, punchy statement that we know what she stands for. You can't be in comfort. You can choose courage or you can choose comfort. You can't have both. When you're stepping into your courage, you have to be stepping into spaces that's uncomfortable. So love this one. Okay, those of you who know me know I love Gabby Bernstein. And we know that she's all about the universe getting in behind us, right? I let go of my need to control and allow the universe to do her thing. So her work is fabulous. I am a huge, I follow her. I read all her books. This to me really resonates with me because I believe when we get in our purpose and how we're meant to be showing up and making a difference in the world, that the universe gets all in behind us. So that's really powerful. We've got Oprah. So she just came through with her vision tour. I know I was there right before we went into COVID lockdown. And this is very much about what you focus on expands. And I actually have the book sitting here. I think let me grab it really quick. So I have it sitting here, right? Vision, your life in focus. And that's what we talked about. So she went all around the nation and, so we can look at all the, and I can go back to this focus piece and it keeps us on our track, even in the midst of all of this, right? So good. And I love this one. This was a new one that I had found, and I need to move my camera so I can actually see it all. If you want to lift up humanity, empower women. It is the most comprehensive, pervasive, high leverage investment you can make in human beings. This is Melinda Gates. And as I was just finding some of her quotes, I had no idea how how much she was really focused in on women. So love that. Start to follow her and start to see what, how she's really putting this focus on women as a philanthropist. So super excited about that one. I've used this one for a long time, Malala. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. We know she stands for education and educating women, right? So she does everything she does ties back to this. So all of these, and here is mine, right? Women's wisdom is the medicine that our earth needs. I use this one all the time. And so if you hear me on a podcast, if you hear me on the stage, I am often dropping this statement because this is what I want people to know me for. I believe that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs. I believe women's voices matter. So these are, starting to think about what you're giving voice to, what you want to stand for. What's that quote you want to be known for? And what are 4 points? So you can start with a hook. So any of those ones that we just looked at are soundbite hooks. And then there can be topics that you build around it, right? So you build out beyond that. So when I talk about women's wisdom, one of my topics might be around really owning the genius of who you are. And then this might be about really raising up your visibility, having clarity around your message. A third one might be around this R factor. So you can start to build your message, your platforms of what you stand for, so that it really always ties back to this core message that you own. And there's power in a soundbite. Because you're going to remember Malala's, right? If you go back to this, and I'm not going to remember it off the top of my head. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change our world, right? That's short. It's memorable. It's powerful. It stands alone. It's illustrated. You can see you can see the pen. You can see the book. You can, so there's power in these. You can bring comparisons or analogies into them. You want them memorable and repeatable. You want an attention-grabbing approach to this because people have just a very short attention span, right? So how do you attract people into it? So when you're thinking about making a difference, what is it that you want to stand for? If you have one thing to say to the world, what would it be? I want you to take a moment in that question. And if you know, I would love for you to post this. These are big questions, right? These aren't questions that generally come to us. I can tell you that mine, women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs, took a while for me to come up with. And it's and then all of a sudden it will come to you. And it probably came to me, my guess is probably at 3 o'clock in the morning, kind of laying in bed and going, oh, there it is. There it is. And I had to get up and write it down, right? And so if you start planting these seeds of what it is that you want to stand for, and even asking, this is the beauty of right now we're in a space where you can find clarity around a whole lot because we are, we're sequestered into our homes. We've got space. We've got gorgeous weather happening around us. We can get out in nature. And we can start asking these questions. If the whole world was to hear a message from me, what would it be? I don't know. And you can use this as a way to start listening, right? Listening to the inner wisdom within you, listening to the universal wisdom that is around you, and playing with this. So Lisa Sharp did hers here. You are the ideal beauty right now as you are. And so, and Lisa got this last year at a retreat. So, when we start, thank you for sharing that, Lisa. I really appreciate that. And you can see this as Lisa, as a stylist, she's really tapping into, you are this ideal beauty right now as you are. You don't have to change things. And what she helps people do is let that inner beauty shine through, right? And that's the power that when you find what your message is and just take the space and start being curious about it, that's where you start to open into the whole world can hear one message from you. So let's start to move in. So that was what we've just covered, is really about owning your genius. So we've talked about, this essence of who you are. We've talked about this brand of how people experience you, and really starting to learn to speak your client's love language, especially right now, so that you're not sending them a bunch of noise that doesn't resonate, right? I mean, I've heard people who have turned off a lot of their automated messaging on social media to make sure they're not saying something that's totally inappropriate during these times. So you have to be aware of how you're showing up, how your messages are landing with people, and be really clear about where your ideal clients are, what are they up against right now? What do they need right now? So it may not be about the pivot, but it may be standing in this light of who you are, the gifts of who you are, and saying, how does my tribe need me right now? Right? That's a different question. And saying, okay, how does my tribe need me right now? And what is it that I want to be known for right now? Those are the kinds of questions that open you up to being able to show up in an authentic way right now. And also not in a, pushy, obnoxious kind of way that feels out of touch with what's going on in our world. And I think it's really important is that we pause and we ask ourselves these questions, for this time and beyond, right? I mean, and then we're going to do the same with our marketing, is really starting to find clarity in our marketing and how we show up in marketing in a way that doesn't seem out of touch, out of place in the midst of all the things that's happening right now. So a way to really tap into this is your intuition. Just like when I was deciding, is this webinar a go or a no-go this week, I listened. I stopped, I paused. My intuition said, this is a go, because this is how you serve. This is how you serve. You help people move. You help people step into new spaces. So starting to listen to that intuition is the way you do that. And I'm a traditionally trained marketer. I was in marketing. I was a marketing executive, a VP of marketing for many years. And in the corporate world, I had global teams reporting to me. At one point, I had 90 marketers reporting into me in one way or another. And so I get marketing. My degree is marketing. My degree is international business and marketing. And so I know marketing, and I have taught marketing. And what I'm saying now is there's rules within marketing that we need to be throwing out, right? And it's even more so now. I've been talking about breaking the rules of marketing for over a year now. However, even more so right now. So let's take a look at what some of these are. So first one thing is about marketing from the inside out. And that's really getting clear about, how do you like to market? How do you like to show up, right? And your intuition is going to be telling you what's right for you. And so a couple things on that. Marketing from the inside out, one is building your brand from the inside out. So we've talked about building a brand from the inside out by listening to this essence of who we are and building it into our brand. But also really starting to think about marketing from the perspective of, what are the ways that excite you about marketing? So for example, I love community. I love to bring people together. So a lot of my marketing is about bringing community together. I love to tell people stories, right? So for me, telling people stories is a really easy way for me to show up in my marketing. And I will, bring people onto my podcast. I will bring people onto Facebook Lives. I love telling stories, and I even love telling my own stories, right? So if you come to any of my live events, you will see me telling lots of stories, because stories, I can laugh at myself. I can, say, I can learn from some of the things that I've done. And so this marketing from the inside out, all of my life experiences, the things that bring me joy. So, if you are thinking about marketing in a way that's like, God, I hate to do that sort of thing, then chances are that might not be the approach that you want to be starting and approaching your marketing with. So think about what brings you joy in your marketing. And one caveat that I will add to this is that know the difference between it's truly not your joy spot and there is fear associated with that. So a perfect example of that was when I had that fear around speaking, right? And I knew there was a fear around speaking. There was no doubt that there was a fear around speaking. And I had to step into those uncomfortable places and do it anyway. And with that, I learned, because it was not about me, it was about the people in the room. And I started to love it. And so know the difference. So think about, when you're thinking about this right now, what are the ways that what brings you joy when you're doing marketing? Just jot a few of those down. The second rule that I want you to think about breaking, and I guess on that first one, I just wanted to even point out is often marketing is not done from the inside out. It's done from the outside in. So I just wanted to contrast that. So, if you're thinking about building your marketing from the inside out, it's a different approach. So the second one here is there's no such thing as competition. When you are showing up in the gifts of who you are, that genius, that light of who you are and how you make a difference with all your stories, with all your life experiences, guess what? There is no one just like you. And so it takes, when you take that, when you build your marketing and your brand from the inside out, and you start stepping into this light of who you are and how you serve, no one can do it just like you. So it becomes much more collaborative, right? And there's power in collaboration. I collaborate all the time with other business coaches, and I love it because we're each bringing our unique components to the room. And then my clients and their clients get better experiences because they're getting our unique perspectives. So there's no such thing as competition if you build your brand correctly. And stop this pain-based scarcity marketing. We've talked about that. It's like, don't go there. Focus really on the aspiration, what people desire, and really start to throw out the formulas. If you are seeing formulas, here's the 5 things you need to do to get to 6 figures, to 7 figures. If you start to see, here's the formula that you need to follow, I say toss it out the door, because it's not going to serve you. You can learn strategies, you can learn tactics, all those sorts of things work, but do it your way. Do it your way. And don't over automate your marketing. Make it really human to human, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we are about creating relationships with others. And so if you're automating everything, especially right now, you're going to fall into a trap where it's going to show up on the wrong day when something shouldn't be showing up. So really make it human to human. Start to build relationships. And if you're thinking about this, if you're always keeping this in mind, where will you create love and trust relationships? Because at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. And note, I don't say like, because I want my clients to fall in love with me. And I can attest to the fact that they tell me I love you all the time. I think Ruth Kent jumped on here and she said, love you, Cammie. And I'm like, that just fills me up, right? Because she's one of my clients. I have built this love and trust. And this is the power that when we start to step into building community that falls in love with you, but also falls in love with each other. And that's what is really powerful, is when you can create this know, love, and trust cycle. It's a safe place. It's a place where people can really lean into you. This is what you were wanting to create. So connection is the name of the game. It's core in your marketing. And as you're thinking about connection right now, this is a place for you to say, how can I create connection to my community? So as you've been thinking about this message that you want to take and how you want to help your community and what is it that they need, what's the true benefit of you showing up to serve them right now, how can you connect with them? How can you make that outreach? And again, it's simple right now. It's like we can't be on a lot of stages right now because there aren't a lot of stages. You can get on podcasts. You can, how do you create connection? You can pick up the phone. You can do Zoom calls. You can create community events online. So there's all different ways that you can be doing that right now. And again, it's a way of service. And if you're looking at it as a way of service and helping people, that's the connection that you can create, and that's the know, love, and trust. And it's expansive. And this was a really important one for me. This is a really important one for me right now, because being expansive, I want you to think about your energy in this space right now, right? We are heading into our third month of I think we went in March 20th. So 2 months. So we're into our third month of being secluded, and we probably will be. However, I have not been closed off, right? I have been expansive. So how are you showing up in your community that is expansive energetically, right? How is the energy flowing from you? How are you resonating out into your community in a way that is serving, right? If you're serving in your community, the energy of you is very expansive. So there are times when we are not going to be expansive, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I mean, the energies of our world have been heavy to carry, and there are times when we've wanted to go and be internal, and I certainly have been there through this. But we go internal, we create this internal space, and then we can come out after we've taken care of ourselves. We can step out into the expansiveness of it. So just start to notice. And I think, and if you start to notice how you are energetically feeling on a given day, if you're feeling internal, listen to that, and then make the expansive the next day. So really start to play with it. But if you go through 3 months of being all internal and not expansive, I can tell you your energy will get drained. So looking for ways that you can share your gifts in an expansive way. So I want you to get creative. What are 3 ways that you can show up right now in this next month? I want you to jot down some things. How can you show up for your community? What are 3 things that you can be doing over this next month that you can do, that is you showing up and serving? I'll give you an example. So my Extraordinary Women Connect event that was last month, May 19th, has been scheduled since the beginning of the year. Always has been a live person-to-person event. And so I had to get creative, right? I had to do things differently. And so I showed up and we created a virtual event. And we used Zoom to its maximum capacity, where we started putting people in different rooms and breakout sessions. And I brought in a singer, and I brought in a poet. And, it's the energy of what we created on that evening. And I did it in a much more condensed space because I didn't think people wanted to be in our normal 3-hour time frame that we did for normal Extraordinary Women Connect events. We did it virtually, and we condensed it to an hour and a half, and it was a lot of connection, and it was fun, and I got so much good feedback. I showed up, right? I showed up for my community in a way that was consistent with me creating connection, right? I couldn't get onto an Extraordinary Women Connect event and not create connection between people, because that's what those events are made for. And so 3 ways that you can show up that serves your clients. Jot those down, and then please share them in your chat box so that we can start to get some ideas. So Ruth Kent is saying, do more podcasts, free webinars. So these are great ideas, right? And introduction to the emotion code and body code. People need that work right now, Ruth, right? So, and Ruth's work around the emotional code and body code is very energetic. It's very tuned into how, what are the energies you're carrying on our body. And so if she gets out and starts doing more podcasts and doing more free webinars where people get to experience the gift of her work, she is going to be making that ripple effect, right? Getting people to write testimonials and more via social media. So these are all ways that Ruth can really get expansive and how her gifts are how she's sharing what her gifts are and how she's serving her community, and she's starting to increase how she's doing it. So these are fabulous, Ruth. Thank you for putting these in there. And starting to really think about, all of you thinking about, what are the 3 ways that you can really step into and commit to over this next month. And if you're always looking out month over, so you could be looking right now. So between now and July, what am I going to be doing? July, be thinking about it there. And I actually recommend that you start thinking about this from a 3-month block, but start with a month. You can do, if you're already doing it in months, expand it to a 3-month block. So that you're thinking about, how am I showing up and sharing my gifts so more people get to experience it. So the energy of you and how you resonate. Let me see how we're doing. Oh, we're doing good. Okay. So this is the third piece of it. And before we move into that, so I'm going to just close off the marketing. There's some rules that you can be really, you can be throwing out the door when it comes to marketing. Don't follow those formulas. Do your marketing from the inside out. Be intuitive, listen, and start moving into action and really doing some different ways. Patricia Garcia says, post branding during pandemic article to LinkedIn. What do you do during pandemic? So this is great, right? You're showing up, how people, really can take your, can be thinking about branding during and after the pandemic. You can start regular branding tip posts, right? So people are thinking about that. You're showing up, you are serving, you're doing presentations to your networking groups, all different ways, right? Yeah, and I think that's a great one, Patricia, because I think, as I mentioned, nobody's getting on stages, but a lot of those groups have gone virtual. So now is a great time to offer up, let me serve your community right now. I know yesterday on my co-working space, they're looking for virtual topics, and I offered to do this talk for the co-working space. So, there's different ways you can be showing up and be looking for those. So thank you everyone for that. So let's really start to get into how you resonate. And this is really, really important, because how you resonate matters. This is the energy of who we are. And, there's so many ways that you can look at our energy. It's the energy, we can do a body scan. We can feel, where we feel tightness in our body. We can feel how, if we feel tightness anywhere, or if we, are not feeling empowered, we might feel that, in our gut, we might start to shift, we might start to change. There's always you can look at it. I did a podcast yesterday with a woman who really focuses on chakras, and I love chakra work. I've been doing chakra work. I've been doing Reiki and healing touch work for probably 25 years. And while I don't actively go out and do that work with my clients, I love to, open up to what energy means in our space. And that means within our bodies and even within our space, how we resonate. And what I want you to think about is, how are you resonating right now? What's the energy that you're showing up? And it could be that, I'm actually feeling right now, because I've had so much space to be me in nature, to be not on a go, to I have more open space on my calendar right now. I'm feeling pretty good about how I resonate. I feel the energy of me feels upbeat. I feel excited about, what's happening in my world and how I'm showing up. I love the work that I'm doing. And so these sorts of things can really help me like you, right? So I built what I call the R factor, and this is how we resonate. And there's several things that come into play associated with this. And first, it's our mindset, right? It's the mindset of, what are those stories that are constantly going through our head? Are we on a positive? Are we feeling optimistic? Are we feeling like there's great possibilities? Or are we having who are you to show up and, be having these conversations? Who are you to lead this conversation? Those are negative messages, right? Those are those self-doubts. Those are limiting beliefs that can show up. So really tuning up our mindset so that we're on the high vibration of our mindset. And there's all different kinds of ways that you can approach your mindset. You can do meditations, you can do affirmations, you can do journaling, all these different things to be aware, right? And I think that's the big piece of it, is if you're aware of what's going on in your mind, that you can start to recognize when we get something that's not serving you, and you can start to shift that. So that's a core part of your R factor. A second part of that is really around your body, and it's the somatics of your body. It's the energy of your body. It's the energy within, the energy without, um, and that's where you really can start to pay attention to this. And so, the way you can take care of your body is getting physical exercise. Go out on walks um, to do energy work, right? I love to go get Reiki work done on me, because it's like things release that you don't even know we're balled up and tied up. You can learn about how do we attach somatics of our emotions into our bodies. When I do, for example, my equine vision journey retreats, those are tremendous ways for people to step into feeling how their body feels. And how somebody might come into at the beginning of a retreat, they might have tension, they might have something that they haven't been sharing, and as they release over the weekend, the whole body changes, and that's powerful. So the body, our somatics, is a great way that we can, if we're tuned into what's going on in our body, the self-care, the nutrition that we're putting in our body. That's another big one for us that we can really, you can really play with. And all of these things really depict the health of who we are in our body. The third one, let me take another sip here. The third one is your spirit alignment. And that means, are you on purpose with what you're meant to be doing in this world? Are you on purpose in alignment with however you spirit, right? I mean, everybody's spirits differently. And if you are in alignment with how you spirit, then chances are you're going to be resonating on a high vibe. If you're not aligning your spirit the way you spirit, if you're not taking the space and the time to do whatever your spiritual journey is, chances are your body's going to be giving you messages. It's going to be giving you clues and signposts saying, hello, take care of me. I mean, I can go back to when I was in the corporate world, and I was not in the spirit alignment whatsoever in the corporate world. And boy, did the universe give me lots of clues that I was out of alignment. And, so much so that finally the universe just said, okay, we're going to kick you out of this job and put you back, we're going to take you out of this role that you've been very comfortable in and put you someplace else so that you can start to grow and expand. So that's what happens when we're out of alignment with our spirit self. And again, I believe everybody's spirit self is unique and different, and I honor every spirit journey. And, I just encourage you to explore that, whatever yours is. And then the fourth part of our factor is your community. And that's the community that you're in, and it's the people that you associate with. And it's how you show up in community with others. And you can be in a community that pulls you down, that's full of negativity, or you could be in a community that uplifts you. And that's obviously that's where you want to be, is in communities that uplift you, because that's the space where the expansiveness comes, right? So if you're taking care of all four of these, your R factor is really going to go up. And at any given point, you can, stop and think about, where is mine? I like to bring in, this is from the law of attraction, and I think this is a really important tool. It's called the vibrational emotional scale. If you Google this, there's like all kinds of different images of this. I like this one in particular because it shows up with a lot of different emotions that we might feel, right? So low vibrational things, if we're in dread, if we're in guilt, if we are in negative self-talk, these are really low energy vibrations. And if we are in empathy, if we are in our passions, if we are in a feeling of abundance, we are in a space where our vibration is much higher. So on a day-to-day basis, and even over a course of a day, heck, over the course of a day, we can span any one of these. And I promise you, we can't be up here all the time. But the trick with this, and I love this, because if we start to recognize, where we might be on any given point, if we're in sorrow, we need to be in the sorrow, we need to feel it. And then we, after some time, after that self-care and self-love and paying attention to what's there for us, we can say, okay, what would I like, where can I take this up a level? And you're probably not going to go from sorrow to radiant, but you might be able to go from sorrow to insecurity or grief, right? And then you might be able to go to calm or optimism. And so you just start to choose to move up a different level and acknowledge that, these are, acknowledging what our emotions are is a beautiful gift to say, okay, this is how I feel. But, take a snapshot of this and leverage this as a tool for you to just stop and gauge yourself at any given point. If you're feeling like you're on kind of in a low vibration space, ask yourself, where do I fit in this? Where do I fit in this emotional scale right now? What are the words? And give words to it. And then see if you can choose to go to a different place after you've cared for that place. So when you're thinking about your R factor right now, and I can tell you it's crazy time right now, and how the energies of our world can impact how we're feeling, right? The emotions that we're feeling. I'm guessing that a lot of you are empaths and you feel what's going on in our world, and I know that's where some of the sleepless nights come from. I know that's where we're not getting the same amount of social engagement all the time. And Erica, thank you for that. I so appreciate it. Yes, this will be up. This will be recorded, so you can come back and watch it. So I'll be sending out the recording for everyone. So thanks for being here. So what are these R factor things? Where are you in the midst of this right now? Right, your mindset, your body, your community, your spirit alignment. What's calling to you? What feels like it's on a high vibrational space, and what feels like it might be on a low vibrational space. And this is if you stop and you pause this, draw this out for yourself real quickly, and give yourself a percentage score if you want, like 1 to 100. Where are you in mindset? Where are you on body somatics? Where on your spirit alignment? Where are you on your community? Give yourself a score, 1 to 100, how you feel in that. I'm going to pause for that. And what do you notice, right? Is there an area that's calling to you? Drop it in the chat box if you feel comfortable. It's like, what are the scores you're giving yourself, and which areas need some attention? What areas feel good right now? So Erica's working on her mindset, right? So you could amp that up, right? Thanks for sharing that, Erica. And if it's like, okay, what does that look like for you? Find that helps you put some love and attention to your mindset. What others are out there? For me, I can look at these, and I've actually really been noticing the community piece for me, right? Even though I did Extraordinary Women Connect last month, when I did the breakout rooms, I was in a room, I was all by myself. Everybody else went out to these breakout rooms. We're having these great conversations. And I was back because I was the host of the event and was creating those breakout rooms. I was left back by myself. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't get energy from that. So next time I do that, somebody else is going to be the host of that meeting, and I'm going to be in the room so that I can have those conversations and be engaged in those conversations. So community. So Carol Dwyer is one of those. So what are the ways, Carol, that you can bring more, how you can really raise up your community R factor, if you will, right now? And what are some things you could be doing? And where are you going to get energy from that? Can you sit on, do some social distancing across the patio? That might be, that's something that we just decided last night. We're doing a family community or a family movie night out on our patio. We're going to set up my big projector and screen, and we're going to do a family family movie night. If we can decide on the movie, which is a funny, we had the guys and the girls doing very different types of movies last night, but I think we might just draw one from a hat and whatever it ends up being. But that's the point. It's like, okay, how can we create that? Everybody can bring their chairs and we can social distance across the patio. We can watch a movie. It'll be fun. It's something different. So that's one way you do it. So Carrie Younger says, my mindset and my body somatics need some self-care. So there's all different ways that you guys can start to do that. And here's some, I'm just going to, I popped this up here. I mean, you can do some inner work. You can, even what we're doing today is some inner work, right? Aligning my inner world of fun is what Ruth is saying. World of fun and full of energy to improve the physical aspect, right? So all these are different things. These are just some suggestions. You can do meditations, you can do affirmations, you can be in nature. That one serves me really well. I got to do an equine guided coaching session this week, which was like, it was like such a breath of fresh air, right? You can move your body, get out on a hike. You can be in community in some way or another. You can read inspirational books. You can align with your purpose. You can take any of these questions that we've talked about today and come back to it and really tune back into your purpose. You can own your genius. I can tell you, when you start to own your genius, when you're in your sweet spot of how you're meant to make a difference, guess what? Your R factor is like pushing through the roof. When I do my Extraordinary Women Ignite event in November, I am on fire in that room. I love that room. I am owning my genius. And it's so much fun for me, right? Those of you who have been to it know that I just go into that room with just so much energy and emotion. I'm owning my genius. When you guys own your genius, you step into raising up your R factor. And here's why this is so important. And I'm a business coach, right? I help people really get clarity around their voice, their vision, their visibility, how they're showing up, build their brand, how they go out and reach their communities, how they get more visible. I help people do all those sorts of things. They can have all those pieces in place. If they are not taking care of R factor, this is the piece that gets people stuck. This is the piece that people, if they're not taking care, doing this inner work, what happens is that their business, they're not resonating on a high vibration frequency, and they're not attracting the people into their business. This, my friends, is the most important work that you can be doing as an entrepreneur to get your message out in the world. And, and it's really, finding this clarity around what feels like you need some attention. Where do you need to give that love and attention? And then how do you raise it up when it feels low energy? So really powerful ways to move with this. And I'm excited about continuing to build this body of work out because, I've been doing business coaching for several years now. And this body of work, I feel, is some of the most important part of what we can be doing as entrepreneurs, as we're putting our voice out into the world. Because guess what? When we're stepping into spaces that are new and uncomfortable, sometimes our R factor can start to drop, right? And so we need to be able to identify that and catch it. We get those little voices behind us saying, who are you to be saying this? That's when we need to say, wait a minute, this doesn't belong to me. This voice does not belong to me, because I have a purpose to make in this world. And I'm ready to step up and really go into bigger spaces. There's that expansion part, right? You can't be expansive with a low R factor. So it's learning to dance in this and to recognize it and then really step forward into it. Erica's asking, how do I find what my purpose is? Oh, that's such a beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. So my book, Fire Dancer, is a great way to tune into that, because that is all about finding your purpose. But if you are, and we'll get into a bit of this in here in just a moment when I talk about some of the work that I do, but our purpose is very much, if we're aligned to this essence of who we are, this gift of who we are, we can start to say, okay, how do I want to make a difference with this gift of who I am? And you can write a purpose statement around that. So, if you go back to the very beginning of this call, I wrote that purpose statement when I shared that, talking about reaching 1 million women. I was in a hotel room for a couple days, and I was whiteboarding or I had flip charts across the room, and I was playing. I wrote my purpose. So it's work, right? It's inner work, but it comes from within. So thank you for asking that, Erica. So many of you have been on my Extraordinary Women Connect group. That and last month I ran a series, a 6-part series, where I interviewed a lot of my clients, and we were talking about owning your genius for impact in the world. And what I want, this is my community of women. One of the things that was really brilliant about this was we were moving into COVID as a community, and the way this came about was really powerful, right? It was, we were moving into COVID, and it was energy of, it was pretty intense energy. It's high energy is not even the right word. It was intense energy, right? And, everybody was, feeling the feels, as Cynthia, as one of my clients, Cynthia, liked to say, feeling the feels. I'm feeling the feels. And there was a lot of feels to be felt, right? And when I'm talking about this R factor, we are going to feel the feels sometimes, right? And if we don't feel the feels, we won't be resonating in a high vibration mode. So as we stepped into the COVID in the first month of it, a lot of people were feeling the feels around it. One of my clients actually who's on this call, had COVID. So she had a whole perspective. Some of my clients had parents who had COVID. So there was a lot of energy going around this. And so we decided to open up a Marco Polo room. And when we opened up this Marco Polo room, so Marco Polo is an app, it's a video texting app. Anybody could kind of show up wherever they were and at any given moment and share that space of who they were, right? Or share that space of what they were feeling. It's a better way to put that. They were sharing the space of, gosh, don't feel very good about what's going on right now. And I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm fearful, I'm all these different things. And at the same time, on the same day, somebody might be showing up full of optimism and full of ideas. And so what would happen is everybody would show up on different days in different places, and they would uplift one another, and they would show up for one another. And it was so beautiful how they showed up, and they lifted each other up and supported each other. And what happened from that was they moved through those emotions and those feelings, and they started to really start thinking of, and we started talking about this topic that we're talking about today. How do you own your genius? How do you get out and make an impact on the world? So we did, and then they started going out and making an impact on the world. And that lit me up, because they were, some of them were starting podcasts, and some of them were getting new opportunities. And the expansiveness that happened with that was so beautiful and so powerful. And as we were stepping into this space of support, they started stepping into their own communities and showing up in such beautiful, powerful ways. And they started making an impact in their communities. And so this is why as I saw them doing this, I was so inspired by them that I decided that I was going to run this 6-part series. And it's still out on the Extraordinary Women Connect group, about how people can, really step into their genius. And they were sharing their stories of, what they felt through this time, how they moved through this time, and then how they were showing up to make a difference in the community. What was the vibration that they wanted to be taking out into the world, and how were they going to make an impact with their work? And so this series was such a beautiful gift to me, because I was just so proud of all of them. But I think it's a testimony to what can happen when you make the space to go inside and listen to the inside, emotions and feelings, and take care of you first, and then step out into the world. So this is why I'm so big on the R factor. This is why I'm so big on community, because community supports one another as we do this. So I'd like to invite you to my community. I'd like you to embark on a deeper journey. What we can cover here today is, this is the high level of what we can cover in 2 months. And I've got a 3-month program that I am launching this month that I would like to invite you into to really be part of my community. Many of the members that you just saw on that picture are part of my community who will be joining us on this 3-month journey into raise up your brand and your business. And so it's a 90-day business breakthrough online course. And over the course of the 90 days, we're going to really go deep into this journey of building your brand from the inside out. This soulful wisdom, listening to that wisdom that is within you, and building your brand in a way that serves your community, that is tapping into your inner wisdom, that's really helping you declare what your purpose is and step into following that, right? It's about learning to speak your client's love language and attracting clients into your business in a way that is really building a know, love, and trust. And it's about turning away the pain-focused approach to marketing and really starting to step into owning a much more aspirational approach. It's about, and this foundation actually gives you helps you avoid this temptation to follow all the shiny stars that are out there, right? Because there's a lot of shiny stars out there, and this is the magic way, this is the magic way, 5 steps, to this, 7 steps to that, because you start to really trust your own inner marketing genius. And I think this is one of the things I'm most proud of, is my clients can attune to how is it they want to be showing up, and how do they want to be inviting people into their business. And that's where it's really powerful. And discover the right way to get your word, to get your message out into the world, right? So that you're showing up in your very best light, and it's aligned to you, and it's aligned to how you want to be showing up. And it helps you really break through cash challenges that can be in our businesses. And because you're in a different place of serving and building community and attracting people into your business. So it's a powerful way to do this. It is, this is really for you. If my clients are change makers, right? They are out to make a difference. They are out to make an impact in the world. If you want to do things in a different way, if you're ready to roll up your sleeves and do things in a way that's aligned to who you are, and you're ready to, you can see that your business is really primed to go to that next level, right? You want to do this your way. This is for you if you're wanting to build your business aligned to who you are. This 6 module, it's got 6 business breakthrough modules. We're going to go deep into the essence of you. I have a lot of my deep work that I'm going to be sharing with you on really aligning to your purpose, aligning to how you want to show up. So when Erica, when you talk about purpose, this is a great way that you can really align to this. We start to build your brand of you, raising up the brand of you, so that inside out brand. We start to build your marketing from the inside out. We raise up your voice to this emerging expert in this area that you want to be known for, right? So this, what's that? If the whole world can hear the whole one message from you, what is that? And then you start to raise up your R factor. And what are the pieces about raising your how you resonate in the world? And then we really raise up your visibility. So it has 6 modules, the online course does, and then there are 3 group calls, and then you get a private coaching session with me. And so it's a 90-day course with 6 modules. You get the workbook, the tools, and the messaging models. You get the 3 coaching sessions and 1 private coaching session. This course is normally $17.97. However, because we are in a time where things are different right now, I am, for the first time and only time that I'm going to do this, I'm going to take $1,000 off of this. So you can join this for $797 or 3 payments of $300. First 3 people who sign up today will get a complimentary attendance to Extraordinary Women Ignite on November 7th, 8th, and 9th. That event is currently scheduled to be live with a live stream option. So we will really be playing this. The goal is to have a live event, but this is a $400 value. So the first people who sign up today will get that. And you can go right there to that address, https://bit.ly/CamiG2020. And in fact, maybe I'll just type that in there real quick for you. https://bit.ly. So you can click through to that. And again, it's $1,000 off. It just felt so good to say, let's just take $1,000 off of this and make this really accessible to take you over the course of this, 90-day, it's quite the journey to really to go through this work. So I invite you to raise up your voice, your visibility, and your business, and own your genius for impact. That's what this course is about. I have one last thing that I'm going to start to take you guys through here is how will you raise up your business? And you can write these out. So I'm going to start. So I use RAISEUP a lot. You guys will see this in all of my marketing. There's an acronym behind this, right? There's an acronym. R is resonate. How you resonate matters. Raise up your R factor. Put that energy into doing that self-care. And from that, you will really expand. You will grow. Your business will grow with you. A is aspirational. Build your marketing around aspirational desires of your clients. Don't build it around their pains and the scarcity. Don't go down that route. Raise your vibration up by helping raise up your clients' vibrations. Nobody's vibration. As a marketer, you don't want to be responsible for lowering the vibration of the people in your community. You want to be raising the vibration of the people in your community. I is inside out. So this is that, build your brand, build your marketing from the inside out. Then you are building a space that's really aligned to who you are. S is soulful. Get soulful. Go listen in nature. Go listen to that inner wisdom when you're journaling, when you're meditating, whatever's coming up for you. These ideas and these thoughts that come to you at 2:00 in the morning, they are golden, I promise you. So really listen to that soulful inspiration that comes to you. E is elevate. And this is that expansive elevate, right? Elevate your message. Don't take messaging out that is like, sure, the pretty memes are nice, but what I'm inviting you to do is really elevate it to a place where you're putting a stake in the ground of what you stand for. That's got some edge to it, right? That's got people saying, she's got something really interesting to say. So elevate your message. U, my favorite, Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a Zulu word that means community. It means we are one. It means come together in our world, in our communities, and show up and work together, collaborate together. That's the power of Ubuntu. P is possibility. What is possible? We are going through some really challenging times in our world right now, but I can promise you there's golden on the other side of this. We are growing, we are expanding, we are going through some really difficult places through around our world, across our country, but it's needed, right? Our world is changing, and this is this journey that we are on as we move through this to the other side. And you can go back through. You can listen to a couple, if you're curious about this, a couple of podcasts of Extraordinary Women Radio that you might tune into. Dr. Anita Sanchez, who has spoken to Indigenous elders around the world who were seeing this shift, this change that was going to happen, that the feminine energy is rising, right? So Dr. Anita Sanchez is a great one to go listen to. Another one, I did Tosha Silver. So honored to get to interview Tosha Silver last month. And it's interesting. I had been wanting that interview with her for some time. She said to me, a year ago, she was on interviews right now. I reached out to her in February and we scheduled it, and we had to reschedule it to April. And I'm the only interview that she has done on podcast. She's not taken any interviews since then. That interview, the number of downloads on it just went through the roof. It was crazy how many people listened to that interview. Her message is so important about our world is ready. We're here, we're in the space. This world is changing, and you see it. It's around us all over the place. But on the other side of it, what's possible is really, really powerful. So that's where, if you start to open into, okay, we're here, we're going through this difficult period, we are making changes, and we have to make changes because things have not been good for some people in our world. our world is getting to breathe differently with COVID because we're staying home. Our Mother Earth is being taken care of in different ways. So I am big in believing that things need to shift, and our world is changing. What is your role, right? Our world is changing. And right before, literally 10 minutes before I jumped on, before our webinar started today, my friend Liz Winley posted this meme, and Brene Brown, right? We will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusing, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack. We should not long to return, my friends. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. That excites me, right? This stitches a new approach to our world. So I hope you guys will join me. It's an invitation to join us in this group. We are going to be, it's a group of change makers stepping out into the world, making a difference. I invite you to join me. I mean, such a great opportunity to join at the $797 value, or $797 investment versus, and get so much value from it. This will shift up your business. It will shift up how you're showing up. It will give you new energy that you step into this space. So join us. Would love to have you join us. And with that, if you are not a part of my Extraordinary Women Connect Facebook group, please join us there. We do a lot of fun things there. We do a lot of connection. There's a lot of support of one another. You can find all of my information on CamiGellner.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for sharing your wisdom. Keep going out into the world, doing your work, showing up in your genius. And thank you for just being you. There's people right now who need you. So get out there, share your genius, make the impact, and have an awesome day. Thank you, everyone.